there's magic coming. Oh, there's magic coming. Oh, there's magic coming. Where you gonna put tonight? Oh, there's magic coming. Oh, there's magic coming. Oh, there's magic coming. Your life. Hello and welcome to SassafrasCast. I am Rorie Kelly, a tarot reader, singer-songwriter, and all-around personal growth nerd from Long Island, New York. In just a moment, we are going to begin with the Witchy Weather Report, but first, a shout out to my patrons. If you didn't know, you can support this podcast at patreon.com for /Sassafras Tarot for $1 a month or more. I record these episodes live, and my patrons get a private YouTube link before each one so they can tune in for the live recording, hang out in the chat, ask questions, and get them answered in real time. They also get access to my Discord server where we talk about all things witchy and wonderful, and a shout out in every episode. Here we go. Thank you too. You know what? I gotta open up my Patreon because I want to make sure I have the most updated Patreon list. I'm looking at the thing in my little show notes, and I'm like, that's wrong. That's wrong, Rorie. I always mean to update it, but then it changes, so, you know. Hold while I load my Patreon. We're talking about the Suit of Wands today. This is the third episode, fourth episode? It's an episode in the Sassafras Teaches You Tarot series. All right, let's give a shout out to my patrons at this time. We have... I'm so close, y'all. I'm so close. Shout out to Amanda Little, Melissa Marie, Rachel Miller, Grayson, Millie Orozco, Ruby, Rebecca Jones, Brittany Campbell, Ginger Dawn Studios, and Savannah Tillett. Thank you all so much for being a part of my world. You mean the world to me, even though I had to go look you up. Because I care about quality. Y'all, it's been a weird month for me, and I have heard that it is not just me. I've heard that other people are experiencing just weird stuff, bad luck, setbacks, just like the universe being friggin' haywire for them. And I'm gonna just come clean and say I don't really know why that is. I know there's a lot going on astrologically, different planets going in and out of retrograde, like a lot of stuff happening. We just had a eclipse new moon last night. As I'm recording this on October 14th. So yeah, I'm just here to say stuff has been spiritually wacky. That's how I'm gonna define it. Spiritually wacky. And if you're like me and you're like, when does it let up? You know, I'm here to say that I'm here with you. I'm right here with you. I am also wondering the same thing. And I am sending you good vibes and good energy, and I'm here to say it can't last forever. We have had spiritual wackiness in the past, and I believe it will pass again. This too shall pass. That's not my witchy weather report. That's just a friggin' observation for you. So I'm about to go into the witchy weather report, during which I pull a tarot card and, you know, give us some advice for the coming month. And I'm going to go ahead and recommend... I'm going to go ahead and put an intention in this because I know other people have been coming to me as well and saying like things have just felt wacky. Things have felt like bad luck, miscommunications, misalignment. It's like Mercury's in retrograde even when it's not in retrograde. Maybe because everything's in retrograde. You know, there's been a lot of wildness going on, as well as, you know, some pretty scary stuff happening internationally. And I am going to set the intention when I pull this card for the Witchy Weather Report that this be a card that guides us through these difficult times. That this be a card that brings us to our very highest good during these hard times and helps us move through them with as much grace as possible. And my intention when I pull these cards is that whenever this come to you, whether you're listening right now in time with me on the live broadcast, or whether you're listening, you know, 6 months from now because you found my show and are listening to back episodes, in which case, thank you. Whenever you are listening, that this card have some meaning just for you. Here is our Witchy Weather Report card. The card is the Wheel of Fortune, y'all. Things are changing. Things are in the process of changing. We're experiencing a lot of change. And the Wheel of Fortune is generally a positive card. It's a lucky card. It is sister to the tarot. Both cards mean anything can happen. The Wheel of Fortune means anything can happen. And the Tower means anything can happen. So if you feel like life has been giving you Tower moments lately, take heart, because the Wheel of Fortune is on its way. This is positive energy that brings us change that we want. And sometimes, reminder, life has to get more chaotic before positive change can happen. Even positive change is chaotic. And I've been thinking a lot about this lately. Um, in order for new things to take effect in our life, positive new things, we have to make room for them. We have to do this ourselves by on purpose making room. For example, if we want to go on a learning journey or something like that, if we want to learn the tarot, or if we want to, better ourselves as a person, or if we want to take a deep dive into a hobby and take a class that we're excited about, or if we want to start a new relationship, all of these things take time and energy, and we have to clear space from our lives to make room for that new thing. Because like otherwise we will just be overwhelmed, which is not the way to go through your life. Now, the universe also needs to do this. When change is happening in our life, we need for things to break down that are not going to serve the new normal before the new normal can come in. So sometimes things feel really chaotic and it's actually a period of breaking down in your life. I think of Saturn returns a little bit like this. Like Saturn returns feel awful. I've been through one. I'm not looking forward. I've got like a good long time before the next one because Saturn's a very long, has a very long rotation. But during that time, it seems like everything is topsy-turvy and it seems like the world is out to get you. And what's happening is that it's breaking down the old you. It's breaking down the old ideas. It's breaking down the stuff that no longer serves you so that you can be ready for what does serve you, so that you can move into a better part of your life. And it coincides for a lot of people, the Saturn return, with the end of one's 30s, or I'm sorry, the end of one's 20s. And I'm here to say I'm actually approaching the end of my 30s right now. I'm in my 39th year. And during the end of my 20s, there was a lot of pressure. I felt a lot of pressure about like the milestones we all think we'll do by 30, right? Because it's like a big milestone year. And then the minute I turned 30, it was like, you know what? Everything is as it is. I can't control that. I can't control whether I hit this certain milestone. I'm still the same me. I still want the same things. And now I can just go after this stuff earnestly instead of like appending ridiculous time limits and milestones. There's no time limit on your happiness. You can go after your dreams anytime. You can go after your dreams at 13 years old. You can go after your dreams at 28 years old. You can go after your dreams at 57 years old. You can go after your dreams at 88 years old. There's no time limit to go after your dreams. And it was actually very freeing for me to get through my Saturn return and then turn 30 and realize, you know what? Like, I'm free and clear. I get to write the future now. And that is the energy of the Wheel of Fortune. We get to write the future right now. If we are going through hard times, know that that is to set us up to have the bandwidth in our hearts and minds and lives for a better future. We don't know what's coming around the corner. And just as we have had good, we can have bad luck, we can have atrocious luck that seems ridiculous, be aware that in the same way, we can equally have crazy good luck that seems amazing. So that is our witchy weather report. Know that good stuff is around the corner. Know that the universe is moving in its mysterious ways, and perhaps that the chaos you're experiencing is actually breaking down what can no longer hang out with you in the new, better version of your life. Some perspective, my friends. All right, our topic of the day is the Suit of Wands. This is part of a multi-part series called SassafrasCast Teaches You Tarot. I am teaching you tarot one suit at a time. We've already been through the major arcana, the suit of pentacles or earth, and the suit of swords or air. Now we are going into the suit of wands or fire. I have a really special relationship with fire. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that. I'm also going to take us through the Suit of Wands, and I am going to give us a little bit of an exercise we can do to get in touch with our desire. Because desire is the biggest word I want you to take away about this suit. desire, 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 desire. How does that word make you feel? How does it make you feel when I ask you what your desires are? What do you associate with the word desire? If I asked you your top 3 desires right now for today, and your top 3 desires right now, like for your life generally, would you know the answer? And do you feel comfortable trying to figure out the answer? I'm just asking you because the element of fire challenges us to really, really know ourselves. The element of fire challenges us to know our desires because, cool news, we can't go after our dreams if we don't know what they are. We can't go after our desires if we don't know what they are. We can't live our best life if we don't know what our best life physically looks like. And sometimes, especially in like, for those of us who are raised in a culture, like here in America, like we have a very puritanical history to our culture. Um, and there's this sense that it's not okay to want things. For those of us raised female, also, there's a sense of like, it's not okay to want things. It's okay to have reasonable expectations, but not to want anything. Like, like that's, then you're getting too big for your britches, right? Like, you should have the goal of making everyone else feel comfortable and you just like get whatever you can get. It's uncomfortable to put our needs first. So if you can relate to that, whatever gender you are and wherever you grew up, that feeling of like discomfort around naming desires, then I think the exercise in the Witchy Weather Report might be helpful for you. I'm sorry, in which you got this later on in the show. You guys, I want to tell you, I just recovered from COVID about a week ago, and the brain fog is real with this one. So if you hear me mixing up my words, that's why. I mix up my words on normal days, but now I have an excuse. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Suit of Wands. The Suit of Wands is about desire. It is about our power. It is about our creativity. It is a very creative suit. And it is specifically about us creating what we want to bring into existence in our lives. Now, that can look like manifesting. It can look like literal creativity, drawing, singing, painting, acting, all of those kind of ideas, writing, like the Suit of Wands is a suit for creative people. And it is also a suit for creative people, meaning people who are creating what they wish to see in the world. Savannah's got some great comments here. The Years and Years song, Desire. I haven't heard that song. I'm going to go look that up. Yes, Savannah says, it is difficult to say what you want and not feel guilt. Yeah, that's really real. And I think it's really interesting, that's kind of a side effect of growing up in, our current like cultural paradigm is that we feel guilty owning that we want things. It's like a very human normal state to want things. You know what I mean? Um, it's it is an adaptive state. It's good that we want things. If we never wanted anything, we wouldn't go seek out water when we're thirsty. We wouldn't go seek out, food when we need nourishment. Like, it's a positive thing that the human condition allows us to have desires. And then we can fulfill those desires and feel great. Or maybe we don't get those desires fulfilled and then we learn a lesson. Like desire is at the heart of a lot of our growth. But I think that's uncomfortable in a society that values selflessness and like productivity over personal satisfaction. And we're going to be talking about personal satisfaction today because I'm here to tell you we're allowed to seek it. We're allowed to want things. We are allowed to want things just because we want them, not because we think it'd be good for everyone else. Maybe it would be good for everyone else. I think that when we grow through joy and pleasure rather than just through pain, that it puts it helps us be our best selves and it helps us contribute to the world in good ways. So I think it actually, like, it's like a rising tide that lifts all boats. I think it is good for everyone, but I'm here to tell you, you're allowed to want things even if it benefits no one but you. Like, sometimes you hear people talk about selfish desires, like, oh, you'll hear this debate, you'll hear this intellectual debate of like, is everything we do inherently selfish? Like, is it actually selfish to give money to a homeless person because it makes us feel good that we gave money to a homeless person? Is it actually selfish to, I don't know, give to charity or to volunteer because that gives us like a tax write-off and then like gives us the social currency that we did that? And I'm here to say, like, I don't care. It's a good thing. It's a good thing if you benefit and someone else benefits. That's not a negative thing. It doesn't, like it's as though we want to demonize anything that benefits us. It's as though our culture is so hung up on whether we're allowed to benefit from things. It so glorifies selflessness that anything that has any kind of like that we have a horse in this race, anything where we have a personal investment is seen as negative. It's not negative to be invested in your life. It's not negative to seek joy. It's not negative to want things and go after them. That's just human. It's negative to walk on other people to get what you want, right? Like it's negative to be exploitive of other people and like hoard wealth and hoard resources for yourself when others are suffering. It is not, however, negative to go after things that make you happy. Not even just things you need, things that make you happy, things just for the sheer pleasure of having them or experiencing them. That's not negative. Happy new moon eclipse. So let's go through the Suit of Wands. The Suit of Wands, like I said, it's about our desires and it's about the mark you want to leave on the world. Let's talk about this. We're going to go through the suit as I usually do. We're going to, like I said, wands are associated with fire. All this talk I've been having about desire, that is a big part of what the element of fire is about. Desire, ambition, goals. We often see wands as a career suit because ambition is about our desire to leave a strong mark on the world and to make a difference, make an impact with our work and to have a special career. That's really what ambition is about. It is a suit of visibility. It is not a shrinking violet of a suit. It is a suit where we confront our desire and visibility. I've been talking a lot lately, just in my community, about growth through pleasure and joy rather than just through suffering. We've all grown through suffering, right? Like every single person I'm sure listening to this has had multiple experiences where they went through some like crappy crap and as a result have grown, like as a result their discernment has grown, their compassion has grown. There are probably silver linings and parts of themselves that they have access to that they wouldn't have had access to without the hard stuff, right? Like another freaking growth opportunity. We've all grown through negative experiences, and I'm here to remind us that we can also grow through positive experiences. And many of us are overdue for that. And the Suit of Wands is very much about that. It is about growth through positive experiences. It is about growth of going hard after what you want, naming what you want, and putting yourself out there for it. That is what the Suit of Wands is about. And that's what fire is about. And the element of fire has to do with desire, has to do with creativity. It's a very powerful element, like fire can warm your house, fire can also burn down your house. You know what I mean? Like it is an element that feels like it needs to be handled with care, but I do think in our society that there's a reason that burnout is like the topic of, I don't know, the last 20 years. Like there's a reason that everyone has dealt with burnout and that it's so normal. And that we're like, oh yeah, the burnout gotcha. Like it's just normal. We're just like, haha, I'm burned out. This is normal. It doesn't have to be normal. And I know from experience that when I'm burnt out, I can't access the positive attributes of the element of fire. I can't access my desires when I am burnt out. When I am burnt out, I don't feel like I want anything. I just feel like I hate life. Like it's like the overtired feeling. It's like when you're a toddler who badly needs a nap. That's the feeling of being burnt out, except all the time forever. And it makes it very hard for us to get in touch with our desires because all we are in touch with when we're burnt out is our unmet needs. And when we're so depleted that we are not able to think of anything except for our very real needs that have gone unmet, we can't jump to the next level and think about our desires. We're too depleted to even think about our desires. We're just focused on surviving, not thriving. And the element of fire challenges us to do more than just to survive. The element of fire challenges us to thrive and to learn about what thriving means to us and to get real personal, which is shadow work for a lot of people. We do shadow work when we go after that which pleases us for the sake of it. We do shadow work when we go after our dreams, whether or not it benefits anyone but us. We do shadow work when we show up for our joy in life, because those are things that are not really, those behaviors are not culturally sanctioned. Those behaviors are treated as selfish and problematic inherently, when in fact, as with anything, it can be problematic to do something in a way that hurts other people, but there's nothing wrong with going after what you want. Like, that's just a puritanical ideal. That's just, I don't, like, hard pass on that belief that there's a problem with going after what you want. Hard pass on the belief that it's not okay to have desires. I think that we live our best lives and help others around us live our best lives when we own our desires and ask ourselves how we can go after them in a healthy way. I promise this tangent will be done shortly, but I want to talk more about how this is shadow work. When we place our desires in our shadow, so the shadow is where we put everything that we don't think is okay for public consumption, right? Our shadow selves is the part of us that we're like, I'm going to push this into my subconscious because I'm afraid that if it's in my conscious, that if, that if it's there with me and present and visible to other people, that I will get socially shunned for it. That's the shadow. The shadow is the parts of ourselves that we don't want other people to see. For many of us, desire is at least partly, sometimes totally, in our shadow selves. We don't allow ourselves room to desire things for all the reasons we've just talked about, because it's not socially sanctioned, because people might see it as selfish, because people might say, who do you think you are to want that? We don't feel comfortable allowing ourselves to just name what we want and ask for it and go after it. That places desire in our shadow self. Our subconscious then gets access to our true desires and not always our conscious mind. And when our subconscious drives the bus, it is not driving based on society's rules of what's nice. And that's why when you see people going after things they want in a way that is very, very harmful to others, they're not going from desire in their, the opposite is shadow, like they're not going from this self-aware standpoint of what they desire. They might even know what they want, and like they might be horrible people. They might be the people who the guys who like say horrible things about women and like what they do and what they grab women by. I'm not gonna quote any horrible ex-presidents, but even so, when people go after their desires in this way that's harmful to others, it's because they haven't analyzed fully how they can have their desires in a healthy way. There's this belief there that they can't, so they just fucking go after it. Oops, there's the first. Now we've got the explicit rating on the podcast. Sorry, guys. When our subconscious is driving the bus, we don't have control over our choices. We don't have full control because we're not making our choices consciously. We're not reviewing them. Our subconscious is making those choices. Maybe our trauma is making those choices. Maybe our repressed desires are making those choices. And we've wanted something so much for so long that we're ready to snap. But because we keep denying ourselves, at some point we do snap and we go after it in a way that's not healthy for us. We go on a binge rather than just enjoying the pleasures of something in a way that is healthy and sustainable. And then we are faced with our regrets. And then that becomes a very vicious cycle. When we bring our desires out into the light, we give ourselves permission to go after them in a way that's healthy for us. And we can analyze, how can I meet this need in a way that's healthy? It can be that simple. And when we push them into our shadows, we're a lot more likely to meet them in ways that are unhealthy for us and for others. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk about why desire is important and why you should embrace it. Let's go through the Suit of Wands. The Suit of Wands is about fire, and the Ace of Wands embodies all the best things that the Suit of Wands has to offer. We see, I'm reading with the Everyday Witch Tarot, which uses very similar imagery to the Smith-Waite deck, which is kind of everyone's classic tarot deck. But I love and relate to this deck, and this is my go-to regular deck, and this is the deck I'm using in this series to teach everyone tarot. The Ace of Wands, we can see this figure standing at a fire, like a campfire, and out of the smoke is rising all of these beautiful things. We see a paintbrush, we see a wand, we see a map. We see a quill and a journal type notebook. We see music notes, so it's clear this suit is about creativity. This suit is about what we bring into the world. We see a plant growing. This suit is about growth. Ace of Wands is that first step on that journey of owning your desire and letting yourself have it. It's the epiphany. Yes, I can. It doesn't mean we know how. It doesn't mean that the way is going to be like easy necessarily, but we're like, wait, I can. I'm allowed to want this. That's the Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands is that epiphany of like, I have the power to name this and go after it. Putting ourselves in the driver's seat of our lives. That is the Ace of Wands. Realizing that something could change our lives and it's worth going after and giving ourselves permission to do it. Whether that is writing a play, whether that is seeking a new career, whether that is seeking the love of your life, whether that is raising amazing children and being a cycle breaker and raising healthier kids because now you know better and you're going to do better, you know, and you're going to create that journey for your family's legacy, whether it is going after, you know, a hobby that you're interested in, like big and small desires, you know? The Ace of Wands is about giving ourselves permission to want. Please take it. Now we have the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands is a complicated card. And we see here a figure kind of standing like in a castle. Like there's like this sense of them being detached from the rest of the world and they're looking out over the world. They have a high vantage point. They're literally holding a globe in their hands. This is important. But they're looking out over the world, clearly a little bit overwhelmed. And the question is that it's that crisis of consciousness that we all face when we face a new desire. Is it safe for me to want this? Right? Because when we want something, now we're attached, right? Now we're attached to it. And now we're going to be in our feelings about what happens as a result, whether we get the thing, whether we don't get the thing, how it goes along the journey. That's going to affect us. Is it safe to want this is the question of the Two of Wands. And also, and part of is it safe to want this is like, do I have a shot at it? Right? That's part of what we're asking. You know, if we're like, I want to do this. I want to do this particular career that I know can change the world and I'd be amazing at, but do I have a shot at it? So many people in creative careers ask themselves that question, right? And society really pushes us to believe that we don't. Society pushes us to believe that that's for other people, not us, and that it's foolish to go after a creative career. And in general, society pushes us away from heart-centered desires and encourages us to be reasonable instead. And the Two of Wands asks us to own our desires. And the Two of Wands, you're holding the globe in your hands. The Two of Wands points out to you that you are resourced. You do have help in going after this. You do have resources. And I often tell people when this card comes up, make a list of your resources. This is something I got from a book that I really love. I'll put this in the show notes, by Tara Moore. The book is called Playing Big. It's a great book. I've read it more than once. I've read like pieces of it multiple times. It has some really, really powerful exercises in there for living your best life. And that's what it's about. It's about playing big rather than playing small. Because many of us have learned how to play small, and it's time for us to learn how to play big. The Two of Wands is an invitation to play big. And one of the exercises that Tara Moore recommends in her books is to make a list of your resources when you know you want something and you're like terrified to go after it because you don't know what'll happen. Make a list of your resources, and it's everything. It's your internal resources, right? Like my resourcefulness is a resource. My ability to learn, my ability to, like read people and have conversations that are powerful with people. If someone's a social butterfly, that's a resource. If someone is really good at like visual presentation and really knows how to like create, like the elements that will eventually go into a brand, that's a resource. If someone is incredibly insightful and knows how to connect the dots, that's a resource. If someone just has a huge work ethic and they know how to break down a task into smaller chunks and get it done, that's a resource. And then we have your external resources, everyone you know and their resources. Do you know someone who could help you, I don't know, shoot a pitch video for this thing that you want to maybe do a Kickstarter campaign for? That's a resource. resource? Do you know somebody who believes in you enough to sit down with you and make a list and help you organize your thoughts? Do you know somebody who might know somebody who could give you an opportunity? Do you know somebody who would, like, I don't know, share a link with 10 of your friends because they just want to support you that much, that they believe in you, you know? Um, and then all of your, you know, like the other resources that maybe we feel uncomfortable acknowledging sometime, because some of them are privileges, right? Like, okay, I grew up like white and middle class. I have the resource that I never felt I couldn't access education. I never felt that I couldn't go and learn something. I didn't feel barred from that. And that's a resource. That's a real resource I had that not everyone has. Yeah, it's a privilege, but it's a resource and it goes on the list. I also have the resource of like every free resource out there, right? I have the resource of libraries, which are accessible to me and have like all the collective knowledge of the world. I have the resource of podcasts, which are free. And probably there's like 5 different podcasts that cover the topic I'm now interested in really in depth if I'm starting a new project. That's actually a thing I do. That's my toxic trait is I go look up a billion podcasts on a topic when I get interested in it. Now I'm following way too many podcasts to keep up with. That's a resource, you know? The internet is a resource. Your community is a resource. Whatever resources your town might have for people trying to start a business. Do you know that towns like and municipalities do that? They offer like small business resources and stuff like that. All of these things are resources. When you make a list of all your resources, it becomes impossible to see how you shouldn't go after it. When you are looking at a list of your possibilities and your resources, you're like, how can I not go after that? That is the energy of the Two of Wands. That is the energy the Two of Wands wants you to have. Now we have the Three of Wands, and the Three of Wands is the next step. It's a rare time in the tarot where 2 cards back to back are like Act 1, Act 2. You know, um, the Three of Wands is the next step. We have decided, we have decided. We are walking through the portal. The Three of Wands is sometimes depicted in certain decks as a portal. Here, it is depicted as someone standing on a cliff with their magic wand, putting their energy out into the air, into the world. They don't know exactly how they're going to get there, but they're strongly saying, yes, this is a ritual. You know, like this is a prosperity ritual to bring more money into your life if that's your desire. This is a ritual to open yourself to new love if that's your desire. It's a road opening issue, a ritual if you just want to bring opportunities to you because you're not sure fully what you desire, but you know you want to grow. This is the time that we make the commitment to ourselves and step through the portal, and we're no longer considering going after it. We are actively saying, no, I'm going after this. It's the difference between saying, I'm an aspiring artist, musician, actor, whatever, and saying like, I'm a musician and I'm putting myself out there and trying to make it, right? Like it's active. It's no longer potential. And now we're saying, yes, I'm ready to move forward. That is the Three of Wands. Now we have the Four of Wands, a milestone and a celebration. And this is important because it's important for us to celebrate, especially small milestones early in our journey. When we're going after something that we want badly, it's important to celebrate our successes because it's very easy to only notice our setbacks. In fact, our brains are hardwired for that. Our brains are hardwired as humans to notice and kind of ruminate on the negative rather than the positive feedback that we get in this life. So we have to, on purpose, celebrate the positive. And that is what the Four of Wands is about. The Four of Wands is owning a milestone, allowing the people around you to celebrate you, allowing yourself to celebrate others around you. The Four of Wands is often depicted as a wedding or just a general party. Here we have clearly a big party energy. There's like a festival almost atmosphere, and there are 4 witches holding their wands in the air and like colorful streamers are bursting out of their wands. This isn't about like getting something productive done. This is just about celebrating for the sake of celebrating. That is energy that we need to bring into our lives. Just celebrating the fact that we're alive and we're, you know, trying to live our best lives and we're all doing this together. And there are a lot of reasons to celebrate, and you should take every opportunity. That is the message of the Four of Wands. 4 is always represent a pause in the tarot. And this is taking a pause to be grateful, taking a pause to celebrate what you already have and what you have already achieved, because that empowers us to move forward. The 5 of Wands is something we sometimes get at Like family milestones and family parties, which is a too many cooks in the kitchen attitude. The Five of Wands is our first kind of negative Wands card. And we've got here in this card on the Everyday Witch Tarot a bunch of witches standing around over a cauldron which is bubbling over. It's not looking good. Their cats are all meowing. They're like, what are you doing? And there is actually fire on the floor. There's some fire happening here. Things are getting out of hand. And what's interesting is none of the figures on the card even notice that things are getting out of hand. They're so busy arguing with each other. They're so busy trying to prove that they're right that they don't notice that there are more important things happening, right? That they have bigger problems than just whether they're right or not. And this is a really important lesson as we move forward in the world and try to go after our desires. Our shadow self is going to come back at us. The fastest way to do shadow work is to go after your desires because you will get all of your shadow stuff coming up. You'll get all your fear stories. The devil in the tarot represents our inner demons. Your inner demons will come out to play. They're like, oh, you're trying to live your best life? Let me tell you why you shouldn't. And the Five of Wands is that happening, like playing out in real time in your life. People in your life getting up in your business, having opinions about your journey. Too many cooks in the kitchen, people thinking that they are right and they should be in charge and they're the person. And we can enter into this pitfall too. We can enter into this pitfall of thinking, I know how things should be and this is how it's got to be. And when there's other people who have different opinions about us, it's like that group project mentality. Does anyone like group projects? I remember in school that there were some people who liked group projects and thought they were easier, and I always hated them because it was like, it felt like more work, not less. Because it was like herding cats. You were getting everyone's ideas together. Everyone had a different idea of what would make it good, and it was like difficult to be just like unified and productive. And it's that energy. It's difficult to be unified and productive when everyone is so convinced they're right. Um, the Five of Wands is about like these unpleasant arguments. It's the comment. It's on a political Facebook post. It's where everybody just wants to have their say and be super right. And at the end of the day, I don't personally believe that anyone truly enjoys those conversations. I'm willing to be wrong. There are people who say they enjoy debating. I don't understand. But if you enjoy debating, more for you, because I do not enjoy debating. I look at it as a thing that you sometimes have to do because you're standing up for what's right, you know? Um, but the Five of Wands is a debate gone wrong. We've escalated into personal attacks rather than the subject at hand. We're so far away from the subject at hand that like this pot is bubbling over and there's fire happening. Like we're actually causing problems because we ourselves are being problematic rather than looking for ways that we can work together. We are butting heads and problems are happening. That's the Five of Wands. Savannah over here framing this for us. Just repeating this. The fastest way to do shadow work is to go after your desires. All caps. Yes. Savannah says, I hated group projects. I always had to do the actual work while everyone else just goofed off. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yes. That is the way I felt about group projects. Yes. So Five of Wands, that's our first negative card, and it warns us of the pitfalls of being so attached to things having to be a particular way. This is also, if you're thinking about manifesting, creating the life of your dreams, it's important not to be too attached to it going exactly the way you visualize it. It's important to visualize things. That gives us a vision. It gives us something to work towards. The Suit of Wands is about vision. It's about holding our vision and going after it. But if we need it to look exactly the way it looks in our imagination, it never will. And we can mistake that for it not working. Right? We can be like, well, I dreamed of it this way, but something else is happening, so I guess this isn't ever going to happen. And if we're willing to be flexible and allow for the fact that we don't know everything and our dreams might come true a different way than we thought, then we can move forward on this path. And if we're going to be so stuck in our ways and stubborn that we're like, how could this possibly be? Everything is going wrong, and we're going to like fold our arms and get mad about it, we're not going to get very far towards our desires. Let's talk about the Six of Wands. Now, the Six of Wands, we have a positive card here following this very negative one. And the Six of Wands is really a card of victory, a card of winning, a card of public visibility. This card challenges people. This is a wonderful card, and it makes people insecure. because we don't like to be visible. Even when we're being celebrated for our greatness, we don't like to be visible. It's that, when people give you a compliment and it's very hard to just say thank you because you like are like, that's not true, they're wrong. We have imposter syndrome. The Six of Wands is that visibility that triggers our imposter syndrome. It's another growth opportunity. The Six of Wands is a beautiful card. It depicts somebody like in this very, very clear state of being celebrated. Their whole town is gathered around. Everyone's smiling. They're like, yeah, go you. You're amazing. We love you. They have received like a bouquet of flowers. They're feeling great. They have people who are just like looking up to them. There's this little girl looking up to the figure on the card like, wow, could I be you one day? Like they're inspiring people. And there's somebody who is like clearly on harder times, and the person is like handing them a flower. The person is saying, this spotlight is for you too. The person is able to, they're in such a state of acceptance of being like adulated and appreciated that they're able to lift while they climb. They're not so busy going like, no, no, not me, I don't deserve this, that they don't notice that they can make a positive difference. Because when we are celebrated, that means we have influence, and that means we can create more of the world we want to see. And this person has received a beautiful bouquet of flowers, and they're choosing to give a rose to this old woman who's on their knees in front of them. They're like, here, this is your moment too. Right? When we believe that we can deserve the spotlight, we're not afraid to share it. When we believe that we deserve good things, we're happy to share them because we know more good things will come to our way. We're not like hoarding it. You know what I mean? We don't believe we're in competition with everybody. We're like, we can all shine. This moment is about me, but you're amazing too. We're Barbie sitting on the bench with that old woman telling her, you are so beautiful. And that old woman saying, I know it. That is the beauty of the Six of Wands, and often we resist it. Often this brings us into a fear of visibility, which is good. We want to know that fear is there so that we can move through it. Yes, Savannah's over here saying, I think the fact that there are so many positive cards in the wand suit is an affirmation that action and movement is essential. I agree, and I will take it a step further to say that the wand suit is, have you seen that meme? So there's a meme that goes around that is like what success looks like, right? And people's idea of success, and it's literally like just like a person, and then there's like a straight line with an arrow, and it's like to the goal, and it's just like boom, you just take this straight line straight up, and then you're successful, right? And everyone knows that's not really how it is. And then the second panel is like what success is actually like, and it's like this crazy squiggly line, and like there's like pitfalls, and then sometimes the line like loops back over itself, and it's like chaotic. But over time they still get to the success. That's what it really looks like. It looks like perseverance, right? And the wand has this great mix of cards that are very positive and also pretty negative, that really challenge us. And it really is a suit that is teaching us how to persevere for what we want, that it's worth persevering for what we want. The very next card we have after the Six of Wands, after we've been on top of the world, is the Seven of Wands. Now we're on the spot in a very different way. It's the flip side of visibility, right? Now we're on the spot. Everyone is pointing their wands at us, and we are alone on the edge of a cliff, and we are feeling very, very vulnerable and defensive. This is where we feel like our actions have been misinterpreted. We're not receiving support. In fact, the world is pushing on us, and we have to like fight this uphill battle just to be seen as we are. This sevens in general, sevens have to do with secrets. Seven of Wands and Seven of Swords can relate to secrets, part of ourselves that are not out in the open, and progress. Seven of Pentacles is about the secret of progress that isn't visible yet, right? Like when you plant a seed and you're growing the seed and you don't have tomatoes yet, and you're still watering it, like you're not seeing the progress yet. The progress will come when you get tomatoes. You have to have faith that the progress will be there. The progress is a secret right now, unless you have the faith to know, like, no, I've done this before, it's okay. It's not just faith, it's like the experience, I would say, and wisdom to know I need to push through this time where there's no visible progress. Now the Seven of Wands, we're visible and we don't like it. The Seven of Wands is where visibility has gone wrong, and we feel we're being misunderstood, and we feel that we're receiving pushback from our desires, and we're trying to go after, just like living our best lives. And the world is like, how dare you do that? we are not feeling supported in the Seven of Wands. We're feeling the negative side of visibility. We're feeling vulnerable and very self-protective. And that's a thing. You know, like this is part and parcel as you go through your journey. Seven of Wands are about desires. Wands are about leaving your mark on the world. That is a public act. And that is an act that will trigger other people's shadows as well as your own. So when you're out there leading your best life, you will attract haters, right? Because there will be people who are too afraid to live their best lives, too afraid. They did not take the call, you know? When the Ace of Wands called them and was like, go after your desire, they left it on red. They did not take the call. And they see you taking the call. And it really, really triggers them because they're like, well, I didn't feel like I could go after my desire. So who are you to think that you can? And then we have that conflict and we have that pushback. And that is what the Seven of Wands is really about. And, you know, this card comes up and it really is a card of like defensiveness. And it's a card where we have to learn to stand on our own 2 feet and to support ourselves. Even when we're not receiving support around us, it is a card where we learn to use our discernment and stand strong in our beliefs and stand strong in who we are and allow our own moral compass and our own desires to form the judgment that will keep us on our feet even when others are not treating us that way. Now we have the Eight of Wands. We have been through some trials with our desires, friends. We have like put our intentions into the world. We've faced some difficult times. We've also faced some good times. Interestingly, we've found that sometimes the good times challenge us just as much as the difficult times. It's interesting. Now we have the Eight of Wands. Things are moving quickly. When you persevere towards your goals, you reach a tipping point. There's a whole book about that. Malcolm Gladwell wrote it. I haven't read it. I'd like to. But that's the concept. We have the tipping point at which your actions begin to snowball and now inertia happens, right? Inertia is where an object in motion tends to stay in motion, an object at rest tends to stay at rest. When we're getting our dreams off the ground, when we're getting things going, we don't have inertia yet. We have to push. We're pushing and pushing and pushing. We're launching a career. We're learning how to make a certain type of art. We're learning how to play piano. We're learning how to be our best selves, and we're learning how to set boundaries for the first time. All of those things, like, we have to put effort in. It's not effortless. We're pushing and pushing. At some point, we hit the tipping point, and we start getting the results of our actions back. And now we're no longer only getting results when we put effort in. We're getting a lot of results all at once for all the efforts we put in. I see this happen a lot for people who have been on like a self-care journey or a healing journey or like a fix their finances journey, a career journey where they've been pushing. 6 months go by. They keep pushing because they know it's the right thing to do, even though they're not seeing the results. And then one day they wake up and over the course of a week, every single action they've put out comes back. They get results for every single thing all at once, and it's very overwhelming. That's the Eight of Wands. Things are so, like, it's good. It's like, oh, it's progress. And it's a reminder, progress feels incredibly chaotic, you know? The Eight of Wands comes and it's like, oh, you've been working so hard. Here you go. Here's all your results. And we're like, oh gosh, I can't keep up with that. That's a time when, like, I don't know, you've just opened an online shop and now you have 100 orders for your product. But guess what? You actually only made 5 because you didn't know it would sell that fast. And now you're like, whoo, I got to get these orders out. And I haven't been paid for them yet, but I have to buy the supplies and I have to figure this out. And it's like really overwhelming. It's like the chaos of success. The Eight of Wands is not a negative card, but it can feel very overwhelming. It can feel very overwhelming, and it's a good time. I always tell people when this card comes up, like, you want to create space in your schedule because it won't be handed to you. You have to do it. Create 5 minutes of the day to get in touch with what you really want and your morals, your moral compass, like what you believe in, what's important to you, and remind yourself of that. 5 minutes of a day to just clear your head and remind yourself, this is what I'm going after. This is what I believe in. This is who I am as a person. Because when we give ourselves that reminder, then we walk out into the tornado that is our lives. It allows us to stay ourselves, right? It allows us to still bring our best selves while we're having to think on our feet. You know, that gives us a chance to be making choices the way we really want to instead of making reactive choices. We next have the Nine of Wands. Inevitably, here we are in the suit of fire, and we are experiencing burnout. We have pushed and pushed. We have done the good work. We have fought the good fight. We have gone after our dreams. We have experienced pushback from other people who weren't ready to hear about us going after our dreams because it challenged them. It's a them problem, not an us problem. We stood on our own 2 feet. We have experienced celebrations. We've had other people celebrate us and had to get comfortable with this new level of visibility. We have experienced the chaos of what happens when our results actually come to fruition and we realize, oh wow, the problems I have are good problems I have, but they are problems and this is really overwhelming. We've been through it. And now we are exhausted. We've reached burnout. We've reached the point where something's got to give. When you push and push and push towards your desires, which is not an unhealthy thing to do, you're using your energy. It's good to push towards your desires. It's good to create what you want in your life, but it takes energy to do that. Even though it's positively spent, even though you're doing it for something that matters, you're still expending energy. And there reaches a point where the tipping point works in reverse and your self-care starts screaming. Your body and your mind are like, we need downtime right now. And it especially happens when we're very enthusiastic about the life we want to create, whether for ourselves or for others. We can get burned out because of our passion, because we care. And the Knight of Wands is like, we've been through it. We've been through the mill. It's that time when we feel so overwhelmed that we don't know that we can take another step, and we're actually going to be okay. Often this time comes at the end of a hard time, at the end of a really long week. I was telling a friend the other day that like I knew I had hit my limit in terms of like my social battery and my like going out and doing things limit, because I started to feel like everyone hated me. And that's like a thing for me. That's like an inner demon that comes out when I'm overwhelmed and burnt out. I get the everyone hates me's. And I was starting to feel like that. There's this great line in Taylor Swift's song, Anti-Hero, where she's like, sometimes I feel like everybody is a sexy baby and I'm the monster on the hill. Y'all, I was feeling like the monster on the hill, and I knew that it was burnout. That's burnout. That's what happens to me when I get burnt out. That is the Nine of Wands. We're the monster on the hill. We have done all the things, but we don't feel great. We don't feel like, wow, I'm a bad boss bitch, I'm amazing. We're like, ha, I'm gonna die. That's the Nine of Wands. And the Nine of Wands often comes up when we're almost at the finish line. And it is a sign to press on, because we're gonna get what we want, and it's worth it for us, and we will get to rest soon. We next have the Ten of Wands. Now, the Ten of Wands also is a card about burnout. It is a card about what's important is the Ten of Wands. It's a card of burden. It often depicts someone carrying 10 wands. In the case of the Everyday Witch Tarot, this person is carrying 10 broomsticks and also has their baby on their back, and they're walking uphill. And it's very difficult, and they've got a heavy burden, and it's clear that they're not even close to where they're supposed to be yet. They're just like in the home stretch, and it's hard. It's the hard part. And it's funny that the Ten of Wands, tens are like a culmination, right? And you're like, wow, I've been working so hard, what, so that I could be stressed out and exhausted all the time? We have that real sense of burnout. And the Ten of Wands, what's important is that on every depiction of the Ten of Wands that I've ever seen, we see in the middle distance or right in the picture, like in this case, the person's got their cat on their back that they're caring for, and it's like everything feels so hard right now, but there's reasons I'm pushing myself anyway. Now, in the traditional Smith-Waite, we see someone carrying 10 wands and they're going to like their village. It's their home village. They're bringing the wands probably as, I don't know, like fuel for fire or like whatever. They've gone out to do this for their whole community because they care so much, because their community is everything, and their community needs to heat their homes tonight, and they're the ones bringing the wands, and they're doing this very, very hard back-breaking task because they care so much. So they're willing, even though they're suffering. They're suffering because of their passion, and that is the message of wands. Suffering is going to happen in your life. If we can make a choice to live aligned lives, and when I say aligned, I mean, I know that's like a buzzword. If we can make a choice to make lives that are based on our true values and based on our true desires, then when we suffer, there is at least the understanding that I'm doing this for a reason. It doesn't feel meaningless. It doesn't feel like I'm suffering and I'm getting nothing for it. This sucks. It feels like I'm suffering and it's because I care so much. I'm suffering, and it's because I want to see this business get off the ground. I'm suffering, and it's because I really care about my family and I want to give them a good life. I want to give my kids a good life. I'm suffering, and it's because I know that the end result of me doing this is going to be so worth it. That is the 10 of Wands. And really, it's a perspective shift, right? It's about us being willing to make sacrifices and do hard work for what really matters to us. Now let's talk about the court cards. The court cards are always, a good way to think about them is levels of mastery in a particular suit. So we're talking about levels of mastery of your desire, levels of mastery of your personal power, because wands are about personal power and about your creativity, not just creative in terms of, artwork and, like creative pursuits, but also like creating the life you want. Bothy. The Page of Wands is brand new. The Page of Wands only knows that they have desire. The Page of Wands is like that kid, like looking up at the woman in the Six of Wands, like, wow, could that be me one day? The Page of Wands is like watching a superhero movie going like, wow, could I change the world one day? Could I be powerful? Could I be a force for good? The Page of Wands is like looking at a music video and going like, wow, I want to be a dancer. The Page of Wands knows what they want. They have no idea how to get it. They're just inspired, pure inspiration. And because they're so inspired and they have that spark within them, they decide to walk on the path. They have no idea they don't know if like around the bend is like someone handing them a set of instructions or like a lion about to eat them. But they're like, I'm so excited that I'm moving forward. Anyway, I'm trying. Now, the Knight of Wands has begun to get some experience. The Knight of Wands knows that when you go after what you want, you have to fight some dragons. Often they're inner dragons, but sometimes they're not. Sometimes they're other people's inner dragons, right? We talked about that. People get uncomfortable when you go after, oh my gosh, I'm like doing this on video and my hair's doing something crazy right now and I can't not notice it. Sorry, y'all, this is live. People get uncomfortable when you go after things that they don't feel comfortable going after themselves. When you say, I'm worth it, I'm worth going after this desire, I matter enough. Which, by the way, you do. We all do. We all matter enough to go after our desires. But when you say, I'm worth it, I'm going to push for this, I am going to try to live my best life, then people who have played the martyr card instead, people who have told themselves that they can't go after the things they want, people who are too afraid, people who have played small for any reason. And there's a variety of reasons that they might. They're not going to like it. They don't like that you're doing the thing that they're too afraid to do. So you're going to get pushback. You're going to get internal and external pushback when you go after your desires. And the Knight of Wands knows that you got to fight through. The Knight of Wands knows that the only way out is through. And the Knight of Wands is ready to fight. The Knight of Wands is like, has his wand in hand, sees the dragon, is like, I have no idea if this thing will kill me or not, but let's go. Like, we're doing this. The Knight of Wands, I will say, is about like you going after your passions with a minimal level of experience but a high level of enthusiasm. And the Knight of Wands is also known as the fuckboy card. When the Knight of Wands comes up in a romantic reading, we see a lot of passion and not necessarily a lot of wisdom, right? If the Knight of Wands is a D&D character, wisdom would be low. Wisdom would be like maybe a -1 or -2. But like passion and drive, they have in spades. So, is the Knight of Wands a reliable partner? I don't know. They don't know. Is the Knight of Wands someone who you might have an amazing night with? Yeah, possibly, and then you might have an amazingly bad experience too, because they don't always know whether they're coming or going. What they know is they're enthusiastic. What they know is they're doing the next thing, that they think is right on their journey, The Knight of Wands, like all knights, is passionate and enthusiastic, and that makes up for their lack of experience. They're gaining experience by going like, well, I'm just going to do this. We're going to see how it goes. Now we have the Queen of Wands. The Queen of Wands is visible. The Queen of Wands, you may notice, wearing the same thing that the Six of Wands person was wearing, sitting on a golden dragon, holding her bouquet, and has an adorable like cat at their feet, catching a fallen flower from their bouquet. The Queen of Wands is willing to be supported and visible and own her vision. The Queen of Wands, both the Queen and King of Wands, you know how I feel about gender. Like, I'm not going to put gendered norms onto this. And if you want a tarot reader who will, I'm the wrong one. Go find a different one. But I will say that the Queen of Wands is portrayed as somebody who is visible, sure of herself, celebrated, and owns it. The Queen of Wands knows how to own being visible. The Queen of Wands knows that she will not always please everybody with her visibility, and enables herself to be her biggest self anyway. She is her biggest self not because she thinks it's safe, but because she believes strongly that it's the only way to live. The Queen of Wands is not about playing small. The Queen of Wands is playing big all day, every day. And if you don't like that, that might be a you problem. You know, the Queen of Wands is like, I'm not gonna play it safe to make you not uncomfortable. I'm gonna be my biggest self, and I'm gonna lead my biggest life. And, you know, like, I hope you do too, but I'm not gonna let you take me down. The King of Wands, too, is very visible, and the King of Wands is very certain and very assured of his vision. The King of Wands is often portrayed with a map, and often pointing to the map, and often looks just almost a little condescending. The King of Wands has a vision, and everyone else can get on board or not. But the King of Wands, like the Queen of Wands, is like, listen, I'm going to lead my biggest life. This is what it looks like. You're with me or you're not. Like, please feel free to leave if you're not as inspired by this vision, but this is what we're doing. It's the King of Wands way or the highway. And that is sometimes the attitude we have to be in authority about our desire. We have to be in authority enough to say, even if I get pushback, even if it's very difficult, even if I face my inner demons, this is the vision and I'm going after it no matter what. And the King of Wands has that inner authority. And so what's amazing is when we have that inner authority, both the Queen and King of Wands have this, to name our vision and communicate it and be like, this is what we're doing. This is what's happening. This is the vision. This is a high enough vision to fight for. People get on board. People want to share that vision with you. People hear you talk passionately about that vision and they're like, yeah, I want to help. I want in on that. And then, should you choose it, this is the secret that the King and Queen of Wands wield. Should you choose it, then you have like an army of supporters at your disposal, right? If you are willing to say, this is my vision, it means everything to me, and other people are like, wait, wow, I went in on that too, and you're like, okay, we're sharing, we're all going after this vision, then you have people who will do everything they can to make your vision a reality because they are so inspired by it, and you're helping them grow, and they want a piece of it, and they just want that energy. And it's a positive feedback loop, right? It's a you are feeding them in terms of giving them permission and giving them a vision that is maybe greater than they could have imagined for themselves, and giving them like a important thing to work towards. It helps them in turn understand who they are and be their best selves. And they in turn want to support it. They're like, yes, like, what resources do you need? Can I throw some money at you? You know, can I buy something from you? Can I recommend you to a friend? Because what you're doing is amazing and you need a wider audience, and everybody wins. And that's the style of leadership that the King and Queen of Wands represent, is visionary leadership. They have a vision and they believe so strongly in it with such authority that the people who share that vision are going to get on the bus with them. They're like, yes, I am also on that journey. We are going together. Now you're not just a person on a journey. Now you're a community leader. Very powerful. All right, my friends, that has been the Suit of Wands. Let's talk about which you got this. I'm going to give you a quick meditation or journaling exercise. Pick your poison for the Three of Wands. And the reason I want to do this about the Three of Wands is because the Three of Wands is the action step. I'm going to actually suggest that we take out both the Two of Wands and the Three of Wands for this. If you have a deck of cards, you know, pick your poison, grab the Two and Three of Wands out of there. If not, go online, look up some images of Two and Three of Wands, and pick the ones that speak to you the most, because we're going to be gazing at these images as we ask ourselves a series of questions. And we can choose how we might want to do this. We're going to capture some thoughts here. We may want to journal our way through. We may want to just like pop on a voice recorder so that we can speak stream of consciousness and not have to, physically be writing something. We may want to do this with a friend and like both of us take turns doing this exercise so that we can reflect each other's journey back to each other. There's no wrong way to do it, but it's the Two of Wands and Three of Wands to help you own your desire and take the first step. And what I want you to look at when you look at the Two of Wands, we see often the common imagery is holding the world in your hands, right? And yet there's a sense of uncertainty, looking out at the big wide world. And it's both things, right? It's like, wow, I have so much at my disposal, and also the world is so big and I feel so small. And I want you to ask yourself, what do I desire? I'm a small, tiny person on a marble, as Madame Adam is a fan of saying. I'm a small, tiny person on a blue-green marble, and there are 100 million people on this marble with me. I don't know how many people are. I might be wrong about that. A lot. What do I want in this big, crazy world? Anything is possible in a world this crazy and diverse. What do I want? I'm not going to worry about whether I can. I just want to ask myself what I want. What do I want? What would be my wildest dreams? Um and spend some time like either writing or talking through that. Like, what is the wildest dream? Allow yourself to circle around it, like allow it to, like, if you're doing this with a friend, they can ask you questions. If you're doing it with yourself, ask yourself clarifying questions. If the answer is like, well, I don't know, I want to be famous, right? What do I want to be famous for? Well, I don't know, I want to be famous for making my art. Okay, what kind of art am I making, and what is at the heart of it? What matters so much? Like, what is it that I have to say? What is important, and also what does it look like to me? What does the word fame look like to me? Does it mean I have like 100,000 followers on TikTok? Does it mean that I'm on the Today Show? Does it mean I don't know, that I'm like Taylor Swift? Like, what does fame mean? Right? Or maybe your desire is nothing like that. Maybe your desire is like, what I really, really want is a family, and to have an incredible special home, and to have like a vegetable garden, and to feel like I have created this beautiful, beautiful microcosm for myself and the people I love, and we have created a thriving community, right? Which actually is not that different from being famous, if you were famous in a like community centered way as the King and Queen of Wands are, right? Those are two sides of a similar desire, which is to be seen and to see and to support each other. um, Maybe your desire is to have an incredible career. Maybe your desire is to learn something. Maybe your desire is to go get a partner. Whatever your desire is, we're going to write it down or talk it out, and ask clarifying questions. The questions are, tell me more about that, or what does that look like, or describe that for me. Like, go another level of detail until we really feel we've gotten to the crux of it. Now we are going to ask ourselves, what am I afraid of? When we do these desire exercises, immediately our fears come up. So you're going to have a list. What am I afraid of? I'm afraid that I might not be worthy. I'm afraid that I might be stupid for trying to go after something so big. I'm afraid that other people will laugh at me if I tell them what I want. I'm afraid that I'm not good enough and that my singing voice is stupid. I'm afraid that I will never be truly loved by a partner. I'm afraid that online dating is a pile of stupid garbage and I don't know how to find human connection in that pile of stupid garbage. What are your fears? Get them out. Ask yourself clarifying questions, or have your friend ask you. Really get down to it. This can be emotional, y'all. And then the final question to ask yourself, this is our final Two of Wands meditation question. Then we're going to move on to the Three of Wands, which is just one. What are my resources? This is a big resource list. What are my inner resources? What do I have to offer? My intelligence, my whatever. I'm pretty good at math, like I'm a good cook. I know how to make really good black bean soup. Like everything, relevant or not, that you can think of that's a positive thing you have to offer. And then your resources within your community, within people you know who care about you. Your resources in terms of learning resources. I have access. I've got a library card. I've got access to the internet. Like, I could learn a lot of things just by doing that. Other resources that you may have, community connections. Write those all down, because your resources are the answer to your fears. You might even be able to look at those two lists and draw some direct connections. Like, I'm afraid of this thing, but this resource might help. I'm afraid no one will like me, and I'm afraid my art is stupid. But also, my friend gave me this great book by Julia Cameron called The Artist Way, and that might help me get over that fear, you know? Great book, by the way. I'll put that in the show notes as well. We're going to list our resources. We're going to now focus on the Three of Wands. This is about stepping through the portal. These are very, very similar cards because it's one step to the next. One is the considering. Two of Wands is potential. Three of Wands is the action. We are taking the first step. And all I want you to ask yourself is, what are some steps I could take towards this dream? And I want you to ask clarifying questions of yourself. And we're not planning very far ahead. We're planning for the next right thing. So our clarifying questions are actually going to be smaller. Because if we have a big dream, we need to see how to get from point A to point B. We may not know all the steps, but if we know the next few, we can move forward in confidence. If we're like, I dream of, I don't know, like being a famous NBA player, for example, what's your next step? Getting signed to the Lakers. Well, okay, what do you have to do to get signed to the Lakers? Like, what's the step before that? I don't know, maybe having an illustrious college career. Okay, what's the step before that? Well, maybe I get on my local team. What's the step before that? Well, maybe I learn the rules of the game and maybe I practice at home, right? Like, we're asking ourselves questions to get smaller and smaller steps. As we do this, we start to have a little bit of a map, a little bit of an idea of like, okay, here's kind of the timeline of how I go after my desire. We ask ourselves these questions so that we can arrive at, what do I like? My desire's over here. I'm over here. How do I move one step closer? And this is an exercise you can do again and again and again as you move through your journey, as you're at the times when you're feeling like, oh God, I'm spinning my wheels. Am I getting anywhere? Do this Three of Wands exercise. Do the Two of Wands to Three of Wands exercise, because it'll help you get clear about all your stuff. And ask yourself, what's the next step? No smaller. No smaller. No smaller. You first acknowledge the dream and you get very detailed about the dream and you acknowledge what you're afraid of and you acknowledge your resources. And then you say, so what's next? Smaller, 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 until it's something that you're like, okay, I can do that today. Okay, I can watch a 10-minute YouTube video that is going to teach me a skill I need. Okay, I can clean out my closet because I'm going to need some room for the things I'm about to buy for this new hobby I am embarking on. Okay, I am going to take some photos with a friend for a dating profile. Okay, what's the next tiny little step? Because going after your desires, leaving your mark on the world, is built one moment at a time. It's not something that happens we get these big magical moments sometimes in our lives. We get breakthrough moments. But the truth is, every success can be broken down to like, well, I took this step and then I took this step and then I had this hardship. And so I took this other step, Everything can be broken down into the baby steps. Take the baby steps. Don't be afraid of them. They'll get you there. All right, my loves. I am going to take us out with a song as always. First, I want to thank you so much for spending your time with me today. If you like this podcast, please rate it and review it wherever you listen to podcasts. And if you could take a moment to share it with someone else who you think might like it, I'd be very grateful. If you would like to support this podcast financially and unlock exclusive benefits, you can do so at patreon.com/Sassafras Tarot for $1 per month or more. Patrons get access to extra content, personalized tarot pulls, a witchy Discord community, and more. If you have a question, idea, or suggestion, if you just want to stay in touch, you can email me anytime at sassafrastarot@gmail.com, and you can follow me on social media. I am at Sassafras Tarot everywhere. I picked two very difficult words to spell for my brand name, SassafrasTarot. On Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, all the places. If you would like to order a reading, you can do so at my Etsy shop. It's also Sassafras Tarot. Etsy.com/shop/Sassafras Tarot. As always, I'm going to take you out with a song. This is a song called Lady of the Harvest Moon, and I wrote this song about going after my dreams and about naming them. This was a Three of Wands song for me, and that's why I am sharing it with you today in the context of this Wands episode. If you like this music, you can search for it wherever you listen to music. Search for my name, Rorie Kelly, RorieKelly. It is on Spotify and YouTube and all the places. You can also visit my website, RorieKelly.com, or find me on your favorite social media site by searching my name, Rorie Kelly. Thank you again so much for listening. We will talk again soon. we're doing a little tuning. This part might be edited out of the final thing, but you're having a tuning moment with me. That's the next step we have to take right now, is tuning this guitar. I want to share too that often it's the basics that we return to when we reach pitfalls in our journey, when we're going after our dreams. Y'all, I'm a musician. I've been going after my dreams my whole adult life and learning more and more what those dreams look like, and learning what it looks like to support myself as I go after them, because it's a journey. It's not a destination. I will never reach a point where I'm like, okay, I'm done, good. That's not how it works. It's the basics. It's the basics that you return to over and over. When you're a singer, there are some basics about taking care of your voice that you learn. You learn how to support yourself. You learn how to use the muscles in your lower back to lock down and get better diaphragm support. You learn how to use your breath carefully, and you know how to plan through what you're singing. You learn how to be kind to your vocal instrument, and those basics are what get you through those difficult times. You know, when you're facing those Eight of Wands moments where everything feels overwhelming, the answer is the basics. The answer is like, well, what do I know will help? If you're a sports person and you're trying to achieve a high thing, like doing really well as an athlete, the basics of warming up and exercising your body and also giving your body adequate rest and adequate nutrition, the basics will get you through the hard times. If you are someone who is starting a business and you are trying really hard to make that work, the basics will get you through the hard times. The basics of who am I serving and how am I serving them and how can I make it sustainable for me? The basics will get you through every time. So that is my little tuning moment of advice there. I'm not going to cut this out of the final show. When you are struggling on your journey towards your desires, the basics will get you where you're going. This is a song called Lady of the Harvest Moon. It's about going after your dreams. I invite you to close your eyes and think about your dreams as I play this song. I've been good. I've been really good. I've been shedding my slave skin. I am packed and I am ready. So come on, baby, let me. You said you wanted to know how bright moonlight could go. I'm your lady of the harvest moon, so come on and turn me up. You said you wanted to hear, well, I'm not clear, and the moon's gonna rise tonight, right here. So do you believe in fate? And I said I don't know, I don't care. I believe in where my heart is. Now just make sure faith follows me there. Said you wanted to know how bright moonlight could go. I'm your lady of the harvest moon, so come on and turn me up. You said you wanted to hear, well, I'm loud enough, clear, and the moon's gonna rise tonight, right here. Thank you for moonlight and fire, fire. Thank you for all that inspires. Thank you for the love of my life. No compromise. Said you wanted to see through this big mystery. Well, it's traveling through every day. So come on, open your eyes. You said you wanted to see. Well, I'm loud and clear. You know the moon's gonna rise tonight, right here. You said you wanted to know how bright moonlight could go. I'm your lady of the harvest moon, so come on and turn me up. You said you wanted to hear. Well, I'm loud and clear, and the moon's gonna rise tonight, right here. Thank you so much, my friends. Take good care of yourselves. Remember to go after your desires. Remember to own your desires. You have a right to desire them. I believe in you. I want you to live your best and biggest life. And remember that when you're having a hard time, the basics are going to set you free. What's the next best step? What are the basics? How can I take care of myself? You'll get there. Have a wonderful, my friend. Next month, we will be completing our study of the deck of cards with the Suit of Cups. The beautiful, beautiful element of water is going to wash over us and purify this journey for us. Have a wonderful. Make sure you subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and I will talk to you again soon. Farewell, my dears.